So if you want to understand how polyvagal theory works with EP, you have to go on a bit of a trip with me. So there's this thing called the vagus nerve, and it's a long, involved process. But the bottom line, what the vagus nerve does, it runs from the down in the gut, up past the vocal cords, up into the base of the brain. It's mostly an up system, 80% up, 20% down. Now, its job, it has one major job, and its major job is to ask the following question: am I safe? That's what it does. That's what it does for reptiles, mammals, and human beings. Now, if the nerve says I'm not safe, that engages fight-flight. Now, when most people think about fight-flight, they think, and if I go around and ask people this, I say, well, if you think of a car metaphor, what would you think of? People mostly say, foot on the gas.
Sure.
Which is what the right answer that most people say, but that's not actually the right answer. It's actually the wrong answer. What the correct metaphor is not foot on the gas, but foot on off the brake. What the vagus nerve does, and this is just straight medical science, is called the vagal braking system. It keeps a brake on the heart, because the heart, left to its own device, would race, and it's an amazing engine. So it says you're safe. You don't need to go super fast. So it calms down. So here's what's interesting: if you're healthy and you're feeling safe, the brake is on, heart beats 72 beats per minute, whatever it is, slow and regular. You perceive yourself in danger, foot comes off the brake, heart starts to race, you go into fight or flight or freeze until you believe you're not in danger anymore, foot comes back on the brake. It turns out, according to Stephen Porges' research, that if you have all kinds of if you abuse children in childhood, if you have borderline personality disorder, a whole series of things, if you traumatize people, one of the things that happens is you disrupt this vagal braking system. And what that means is that the person can't regulate their affect as well. They become dysregulated much easier, and it takes them a lot longer to re-regulate. Sound a little like trauma to you, PTSD?
Sure.
Right. So that's interesting. And then the next piece of it is, it turns out, how do you measure this? And the way you measure this is through something called heart rate variability, which basically is it's a measure of how much the heart rate varies. You actually do not want your heart to always beat exactly the same. If that happens, it's actually really bad for you. So the more variability, the healthier you are. The more variability, the better your heart, this vagal braking system.
And HRV can be easily measured.
Easily measured. It turns out that back in I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s, TFT did a bunch of studies using heart rate variability. And so what they basically did was they would measure people's heart rate variability. They would have them then focus on traumatic memories. They tap on it and get all their SUD scores down to zero. Then they'd re-measure their heart rate variability, and they'd be a lot better. The heart rate variability would go up. It means they're healthier. At the time, polyvagal theory wasn't around, so nobody ever made the connection. But and nobody else really has done the study yet. But my suggestion here is that it may be that when we tap on people, yes, we're working with the amygdala, but we're also maybe helping this vagal braking system that helps people feel deeply safe. The other thing that's interesting about it is, if you work with energy work, you know that when people get tapped on or whatever it is they're doing, when they think of the memory, they just go, yeah, it just doesn't bother me anymore. It's just kind of gone.
There's this self-generated cognitive shift that so many of our clients are
right.
reporting.
They get the cognitive shift, but that's almost after the fact, right? Because what they sort of report is, they kind of look at you quizzically and go, I don't feel this thing in my body anymore.
Right. I've had clients even say, I don't even know why I thought this was a big deal after a whole session of tapping.
It's gone. Just like at some very base level. And the thing that fascinated me about polyvagal theory is it's so not in the cortex. It's it's even below the amygdala. It's so down deep in the bone. It's not about words. it just changes. So experientially, it makes me wonder again, wow, if this thing that kind of comes up it now just says I'm safe, and it's so below the kind of verbal thing, this is at a reptilian level, really at some level, all of a sudden you're safe, and now you can tell, and then the brain is free to do all kinds of other meaning making. So that's the, my additional take on why I think, how I think this might be working.
Wonderful.